what's happening here? Want to see what I'm going to do with this pile of papers? Come on along, I'll show you. Hi everybody, Sally here. I watched a Finnabair arts video this morning and got totally inspired to try one of these projects that she was doing. And you know, we all love Finn anyway. She makes such awesome stuff. I will link her video down below, or maybe in an iCard. So go and check it out. But this is kind of my version of what she showed us how to do. So I have my small dilutions journal, and I just put a coat of matte medium on the page. I just wanted, this is where the binding threads are. I just wanted to seal that off. So I'm going to dry that, and then I am going to start pulling from some of these papers that I pulled out of my stash and just cover everything with collage. That's step number one. I'll be right back after this is dry. Okay, I just randomly ripped a whole bunch of different papers, and I am going to take some time and get these all glued down and overlapped. Some of these are heavier papers, some are thinner papers. I even have some dress pattern paper and some tissue paper tags that are heavier. So I'm going to get this first layer of paper glued down, and I'll see you when it's done. Okay, all my papers are glued down. I dried the pages from both sides because this next step I wanted to be sure that all of the papers that were underneath these thicker pieces or on top of the thicker pieces were completely dried and stuck well to the thicker pieces, because now I am going to grab those thicker pieces and whatever wants to come with them and decollage. So just take your time and tear off pieces. We'll use some of those later. So now I have to find an edge here of a thicker piece right there. I left a little bit hanging over the edge of the pages in some spots so that I could grab a hold of some of those papers and take them off. And that might be all I'm going to get on this side. That's just pattern paper, that's not going anywhere. Okay, now I have this tag up here. That was not dry, that glue right there, not dry, so it didn't come with it. We're going to coax it off anyway. It's just giving us some more interesting layers to work with, and also some papers that we can use later. Definitely want to use that one because I wanted that color in there. This is a heavier piece right here. Let's see if I can get an edge, and I'll tear a little bit of that off too. Some of those words. Okay, I think that's enough. Some of these may need to have edges re-glued, which we can do. Let's check and see. Yeah, everything seems to be okay there. If there's any little pieces that you want to peel back, you can grab a hold of them. Get rid of them, glue them back down, whatever you want to do. I trying to use this Mod Podge up. I want to get a little bit more of a layer of the Mod Podge or matte medium, if that's what you're working for, over those areas that where I peeled off the paper, just to strengthen that paper back up, because it's thinner now. The actual journal page is thinner in those areas where it took it all the way back, because it took some of that paper off, the facing of that very underneath paper. So I at least want to hit those areas. And then if there's any loose edges, corners, just glue those back down. And then dry it again. That's good. Okay, I'm going to dry this, and then we'll be on to the next layer. Okay, I put my barrier papers in, everything is dry again. Now I'm going in with a layer of white gesso, and how heavy you put it on is totally up to you, depends on what you want to see from your background. If you have something that's really dark, you might want to give it 2 coats. Unless you want to see that darkness. I'm just covering all the papers with the gesso. You know, I can, while this is still wet, if there's areas where I want to come back and wipe some of it off, I can do that. Let's see. Just taking a wet baby wipe. And maybe I want to see this flower a little bit more here. And maybe a little of this text. Maybe a little bit of this. This is all up to you, however much you want to cover or reveal is up to you. And then I'm just going to lightly brush over those areas just to blend them in a little bit better. And then do the same thing on this side. And we'll dry that. Okay, we're ready to go on to the next step. So I just have a piece of acetate from packaging of some sort. They also come like with all your cling stamps. So if you have an extra piece of acetate, or you can buy sheets of acetate. But this is our next step, and it is going to, you can put it on either side, you decide, but it's going to go as an overlay over the page that we just created, as another level of dimension and collage. So I'm going to move my book and get a piece of paper. And let me make sure we're in frame here. Okay. And then you can use alcohol inks, you can use fluid acrylics, you can use regular acrylic watered down, whatever you have that you like to work with. Acrylic inks. I have Prussian Blue Hue, quinacridone nickel azo gold, and burnt umber, because, you know, I'm all about the vintage vibe. So I'm just going to get a little bit of these. Let me see if we can see. All right. A little bit of these on my mat here. I don't want too much of that really dark. Just a little. Oh, that one's not open. Alright, well, let's do this. Oh, wait, I have another one open. Might as well use it up, right? Just a tiny bit in here, I think. There we go. And I am just going to get some color onto this acetate, and I will say, if your acetate's been hanging around like mine has, it's been here and there and touched, and especially if you're going to use alcohol inks, just take some isopropyl alcohol and wipe down both sides so that everything sticks well. Especially your alcohol inks, because they will be repelled wherever there's oil from your fingers or whatever. So just clean it off like you would a piece of glass. And I'm just going to take a round brush and some water, and I need my water bottle. I'm just going to start with some watered down burnt umber and just get a little on here and there. I don't want a lot of this color, I don't think. Can always add more later. I'm just going to start with that much. And I'm going to move to my blue, which I'm going to water down a lot because this is a really strong color. I put probably way too much out there than I needed or wanted. And I'm kind of looking at my page to see where the more open areas are on the page, and that's kind of where I'm putting the color. Even though we'll be able to see through this pretty much. And you can put it wherever you want it. And my favorite. I'm just going to let that kind of blend into one another. Okay, and then I'm going to just give it a spray. And we'll let it move around a little. Play with each other. I know I love the drips. Now if I don't think that's enough, I can come back and add some more, which I will, because I don't want all that paint on the back of my piece, because this is going to be the flip side. This will be the side that goes against the actual journal page, and then we'll build a collage on top of this, which will be on the other side. I'm going to dry this, and then I can tell better where or if I want more. And when you dry the acetate, hold your dryer up, your heat tool up pretty high so you don't melt it or warp it. I'll be back when it's dry. Okay, this is done. I cautioned you not to hold your heat tool too close to the acetate. I don't know if you can see that, but mine is warped a bit. I'm just going to go with it. If that happens to you, just pick the part, like my bottom is more warped than my top, so this is going to be the top where it gets attached to the book so that it will lay flat. I'm just going to go with it because I don't have another piece of acetate. But we're going to put this little collage on top of the acetate. So I'm just going to build it here first. I'll move this for a minute. And I'm using heavy gel, matte medium, and I just have some old vintage tickets and a Tim Holtz photograph. If you want to use a photograph of your family member, that's always fun. I have a lot of those that I need to get out and start to use. That hanging off a little bit. That's just the Tim Holtz. It's from the photo booth. You get 40 photographs in that one package, and they're not real expensive. And if you like vintage journal pages, they're well worth the purchase. So I'm just overlapping everybody here. My ticket's crooked, but that's okay. Whoops, there went my lace. It probably needs a little more underneath there and a little time to dry. And I just have a little piece of torn muslin. I'm just going to put that across the top of the picture here, kind of on an angle, a little bit hanging off. And I think I might add a few little threads too. You just have a nest of black threads. We'll just stick that in there, right here on the corner. I like to do that. It just adds a lot of dimension. Okay, that's all I need. So then we'll bring the acetate back in and decide. I'm thinking down here, kind of off center a little bit, but toward the bottom. I just threw my brush in the water. So I'm going to get quite a bit of matte gel on here so that it sticks well to the acetate. I just find it's much easier to build the collage separately and then add it to, I sometimes will do that even in my journals, just decide how I want it configured and build it on its own and then put it on my page. It's just easier. Let's go right here. You know, I could have brought my book in to see where is this going to hit in the book, but I'm winging it as usual, hoping that this is going to stay stuck. Alright, I'm going to wait for this to dry and then I'll be back. Okay, the collage is dry for the most part. I couldn't, right here where it's the acetate warped, I couldn't get this piece of that tag to lay down, so I just stapled it. And I just touched a little bit of the color on each of the pieces of the collage just to kind of key it together with the piece of acetate. So now it's time to bring my journal back in, try and stay out of that paint. That's still there because I think I may use it again. So that's going to go on this side, and you can see the papers underneath there. But so now we need to kind of key this to here and put some collage on top of this page again. So I have all the pieces that I tore off, and we're just going to collage them back on in different places. And you don't have to use them all, obviously, or you can tear them and put them in different places. Whatever looks good to you, whatever you like. I'm just going to play with them a little bit and get them laid out and then glue them down, and I'll be back when they're dry. Okay, next layer. I spattered these two pages with some of the quinacridone Nicolazo Gold and some Burnt Umber. And then I pulled these two butterfly pieces out of my stash. They want to fly away. And just to hit them with the Prussian blue hue on the wings, and then the Nicolazo Gold around the edges. And the rest of these are pieces that I either used in the original background or parts of pieces or the same kind of pieces that I used on the collage. So that will help everything kind of coordinate. So what I want to do now is kind of build collages on this, or add collage to this side, but also to put some bits of collage underneath where the overlay is going to be. So I want kind of some of the same on each side, just for, this has to be, let me move these all off. I think that has to be there. And it helps to just every once in a while put your acetate piece, this would have to move over so we can see it. And then you kind of can tell where you want to put things. Actually, I think I want this up here. There. That's maybe almost enough on that page. And then this we'll put over here. A little bit of one of those tickets. And I think I'll put this here. That's a start, so I am going to glue those down there and then dry it, and then we'll finish this up. Okay, this is all down, and I told you put your paint or your ink on one side and your collage on the other, and I didn't do that. It doesn't matter. It just, you know, over time it's liable to scratch off, whereas if it's underneath, if the color's underneath, it's not going to. Plus I think maybe you get a little more depth that way, definitely. So do as I say, not as I do. So I'm going in with a wet brush and some really wet paint, and I'm just going to kind of put some color down around the elements that I just did. Just kind of painterly. And just do whatever speaks to you. I'm going to spray this so we'll get some drips as well. I have a little bit of that medical tape down here in the corner. I put some on that collage that's on my acetate too. I thought I was the one with the big idea with the medical tape, but I see that Finnabair was using it on hers too. Let's go down here and just kind of mix it. I'm not real good about this type of painting. I have a tendency to want to be fussier than this. So it's kind of hard for me. There are a lot of artists on YouTube who do it really well. Tiffany, oh, why can't I think of her channel name? I'm sorry, Tiff. I'll think of it. I'll link it in the video description box, because I feel bad now that you probably know who I mean. A cute little southern girl. It says Tiff made me do it. Why can't I think of her channel name? I just can't think of it right now. This is starting to look a little kludgy here. See what I mean? Mine's a little too patchy. I'm going to spray it before it all soaks in and dries. Maybe that'll help it. I'm going to let it drip. Oh yeah, like that. That's better. I'm going to lift it a little bit over here where I don't like it. Okay, I do like that better. The idea is to help bring everything together. I'm not going to lay this down in the wetness, but yeah, I think that's good. I could even put it on this side if I wanted to, but I designed it for there, so that's where it's going to go. I'm going to dry that real good, clean up this paint so I don't get into it, and then we'll put it all together. Okay, final touches. I have two stamp sets here. This one I got on AliExpress, and it's just all numbers in boxes. So I cut this one out, and as I need the individual numbers, I will continue to cut them and make them individual numbers. But I'm just going to stick that on my stamp block, black archival ink. And I'm going to put some stamps on here, and I'm going to stamp right on my... Okay, my battery died right in the middle of what I was saying, but I took this stamp that I cut off of the sheet, and I stamped directly on the acetate sheet, and then I stamped it again on this side, and then I had this sheet that I got from Amazon, and I just randomly stamped here and there on that side, a couple of places on the acetate, and I didn't stamp it all underneath, although I probably could still do that. Then when the stamping was done, I simply took two pieces of the medical tape. This is Cured medical tape. I don't know if this part made it in or not. It's like a fabric tape that you can just cut it and tear it. So I just cut a piece and tore it in half and hinged my overlay piece onto my page. So the other side of the tape is there. And then I'm going to take some, I think some of the quinacridone nicolazo gold, and I'll just hit that tape real quick, and then I will take some pictures for you. But I really, really love it. I thank Finnabair for teaching it in her live stream this morning, so that link is down below. Check her out, give her a thumbs up, give me a thumbs up, and subscribe if you haven't yet. I'd really appreciate it if you did that, and ring my bell. And in the meantime, go make some art. Bye.